is good, Intuition Podcast family? We are back for another one. Thank you guys for tuning in. Last week I was sick. I'm back, by the grace of God. And we're gonna get right back into it. Today we are talking about the simple fact of just telling people that, that you're proud of them. I feel like, 9 times out of 10, especially for us black men in today's society, a lot of people aren't being told that they're proud of or that that somebody's a lot of people are not being told that somebody is proud of them for, their everyday accomplishments and for them just being a great person and doing what's right in the world and doing good by themselves and right by others. I feel like so many times as men, we are told that our value comes from, from what we have and what we can provide, but nobody is telling us that our value is coming from the eyes of God and that we're worth something without anything materialistic or having to provide for X, Y, and Z and people. And don't get me wrong, as a man, you're supposed to, God gave us work. We're supposed to have a purpose. We're supposed to provide for our family because it says that in the Bible that, a person who does not provide for his household or his friends or family is worse than an unbeliever. So when it comes to that, you are supposed to be a provider as a man. You are supposed to, have responsibilities, take on sacrifices, and, provide for people that, you love and care for, like your wife and your kids. But at the end of the day, like God also said too, we are fearfully and wonderfully made in his image. You see what I'm saying? So with that comes to the fact of saying that, your value doesn't come from what you can do for 100 people around the world. It comes from you just being a good person and that God already put, well, he made you with his 2 hands. He already put all the value that you needed from himself and not from worldly things. You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of people are going around every day without somebody that they're telling them, without somebody telling them that they're proud of them and that, they're rooting for them and that they're a great person. A lot of people just go around without a simple dap up or somebody giving them some physical touch. And we wonder why, humans are unfortunately taking their lives and killing themselves and making a lot of permanent decisions to a lot of temporary, situations. You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of us have to understand too that, as humans, we need love. God made us to have that physical and human connection with one another. And we really do need that from one another. So with that being said, I think a lot of people have to understand that, if you're around somebody, friends, family, whoever please do a better job of telling people that you're proud of them and that that you're rooting for them and that you want to see them win because you have no idea how many people have actually been walking around for days, months, years without somebody telling them that they're proud of them and keep going and that they're rooting for their success because a lot of people don't hear that, especially men. And I want more of us to be here for one another as black people. Like last night when Bam Adebayo scored 83 points in NBA game, everybody had something negative to say about what he did. Oh, he took too many free throws. He shot too many 3-pointers. That wasn't legitimate. But it's like, I don't think we understand as black people, like we went 400 years with, white people trying to divide us from putting dark Americans in the field and putting light, African Americans in the house. They've been splitting us up from the beginning of time. And see, that's what we do in America. Anytime somebody reaches some type of level of success, we try to tear them down and tell them that, oh, you're not really doing enough. Somebody did that before you, or what you didn't, or what you did isn't really legitimate. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's when it comes to the point to where it's too much hate in the world. And it needs to be more love, and it needs to be more, gratitude for, people's accomplishments and telling them, man, I'm proud of you. Like, what you just did, you made history and not trying to bring people down because, and see, that's why you have to know too, that, you don't get your value from what you do or you don't get your value from what you do in your life or what your title or your position is. You get your value from being created and from being a child of God and also being created by God himself. I feel like a lot of more people have to understand too that their value doesn't come from, what they do and what they have. Yeah, like I said, and that their value doesn't come from what they have and what they do, but it comes from just being a child of God. I just feel like more people just have to understand that, God is their rock and that, no matter what the world says about, you having to continue to perform, to show your value and to always prove yourself, just be already known too that you don't have to do that because God has already told us that we are fearfully and wonderfully made in His image. You know, He made us to be one of the greatest already. So your value doesn't come from what the world tells you. It already comes from you being a great person with great morals and you just having God and Jesus Christ in your life in general. You know, and that's what I just want to say to everybody out there too, for that's worried about, you know, their value and people just telling them they always need to perform and stuff like that. But long story short, Intuition Podcast family, I just want this episode to just really reflect of, you know, whatever you do this week, you know, tell somebody that you're proud of them, that you love them, that you see all that they're doing and that you're, you know, rooting for them to win in their life and that, you know, you're ecstatic for their accomplishments and everything that they're achieving and that, you know, you're rooting for them because more people need to know that on a daily basis. And, yeah, tell somebody that you love that you're proud of them because more people need to hear it. I'm pretty sure that a lot of people that, you know, that are no longer unfortunately here with us today because they, you know, committed suicide. I know they needed somebody to tell them that they were proud of them and that they were rooting for them and that they were happy for all that they were doing. So with that being said, tell somebody that you're proud of them and that you're rooting for them. With that being said, thank you again for another episode. Please continue to like, comment, subscribe. I love you, but most importantly, so does God. And holla at your boy too. You know I see you real soon.